So, hello, Christine Montalbano. It is great to have you with us today. Hello, students who are also on this call. For anybody else who is not on this call but is watching this recording, Christine is a Stance alum. And what I would love to do to get us started is, Christine, um, I know for a fact you had a very interesting path to
Mhm.
get to where you are now. So before we get into Stellantis and transportation design, tell everybody about your path to get to where you are now.
Yeah, so before I got to where I am today, I actually transferred into stamps my sophomore year of college. I started at a school at Oakland University. I'm not sure if many people know the school. It's a school in the Metro Detroit area. We're actually doing great in the March Madness bracket. But anyways, I started there, and during my time there, I actually was in the business school. And upon starting in the business school, I found out almost immediately that I'm way more creative than that. So I basically did everything in my power to transfer into stamps. I actually, at the time, had dual enrolled at Wayne State University. So I was going to Oakland University all day Monday, and then on Tuesdays I'd go to Wayne State University, so that I was able to get all these credits done, so that I could enter into my sophomore year at Stamps and complete the degree in the total of 4 years, including my first year at Oakland. So it was a pretty busy, hectic year. I managed to work at that time of life too, but I somehow pulled it off, and I made it to stamps. And while I was at stamps, my focus was really in visual communication design and graphic design. So I took classes that catered to that more. And I did a lot of those foundational courses like printmaking, sign in symbol, which enhanced my understanding of graphic design. And then when I got to stamps, I also did an entrepreneurship minor, which really, really, really helped me to understand how the work that I was producing was fitting within market need. I think in the design world, you have to be very aware of the context that you're putting your work into. You have to understand your customers and the end user. So getting that entrepreneurship minor really, really helped me when I was in school understand the business component to design as well. Um, and I have a presentation I can get into, John, that gives a little bit more of like the trajectory and then the, jobs and stuff that I had while I was at Stamps. If you want me to, if this is a good segue into sharing that as well. I think you're on mute.
Of course, I'm on mute because I forget that I'm on Zoom. I just feel like I'm in the same room with you, Christine. Uh, so yeah, go ahead and do a screen share with us. That should be
Okay.
open to you. Uh,
Okay.
and
Let,
then, t talk us through, how you got to where you are, what you're doing now. Certainly any advice, that you have for people would be absolutely great. Uh, so go for it.
okay. Let me see. It's been a while since I've used Zoom. So let's see if I'm sharing correctly. Of course, I gotta allow Zoom to share. Um, um, it wants me, wait, it wants me to quit and reopen Zoom. So it says you can choose to quit Zoom now or do it later on your own. You may not be able, let me, tr let me try clicking later and see if it lets me share so I don't have to leave. There we go. I think it's going to work. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
And are you seeing the right screen? It says grow globally with the Stellantis UX design studio. Can you see that? I'll take that as a yes. Okay. All
Yes.
right. So, again, thank you for welcoming me here today to speak on behalf of the Stellantis User Experience Design Studio. I'm Christine. And I'll touch more on the trajectory in a few slides, but I will start the presentation by sharing a scenario. So imagine you wake up and you're getting ready for work. And when you get into your vehicle or your car already knows your route and suggests, to stop at your favorite coffee shop or alternative routes based on traffic, and your vehicle's battery. And then when you arrive safely at the coffee shop, your favorite drink is waiting. It's hot, exactly how you like it. That's the magic of user experience design, and what we work towards every day at Stellantis. Um, Designing intuitive and user friendly systems for our in vehicle digital cockpit. So I'm Chrissy Montalbano. I know I gave a little quick overview, but I'm an interaction designer at Stellantis, and my team and I are responsible for designing the structure and the framework of the in-vehicle digital cockpit for our 14 global brands at Stellantis. So being here talking to you guys is reminiscent as my time as an undergraduate student at the University of Michigan. I remember my days at Stamps very vividly, and the long hours I spent there. I miss being a student oftentimes. But while I was at Stamps, like I said, I was primarily concentrated in graphic design and visual communication design. And while I had an interest in UX at the time, I didn't at the time take as many classes that catered towards it. And as a result to that interest, I started to, as I grew in my time at Stamps, cater some of my projects more with a user experience design flair. And as previously noted, to complement that work, I got an entrepreneurship minor, because I was not only interested in understanding how my work fit within market needs, but I was also really, really diligent on ensuring that I got an internship throughout my time, and maximizing my understanding of the field so that I could speak to it better in interviews, and ultimately when I did get an internship. And I had a lot of exposure in getting that minor to industry professionals that helped me to build my resume and practice talking in the professional realm. And then I also, while I was at U of M, I did get some internships. So I interned at Leo Burnett, which my responsibilities there focused primarily on designing brand guidelines, really tedious typography layouts for vehicle wheel stands that were to be displayed in GM dealerships throughout the country. I did a lot of retouching of car imagery and advertisements, and developed a lot of video ads for GMC and Buick. And it was very tedious work, but it also provided me insight into the collaborative efforts that go into the various teams, and really marked my initial exposure into automotive design. Albeit at the time with a focus in graphic design. I was going into my junior year at Stamps at that time. Um, and then also while I was at U of M, I interned at StockX, which is a Detroit startup. The time that I interned there, it was in the startup stages, so it was really exciting time. Now the company has blown up; it's a huge company now. But while I was there, I primarily focused on graphic design tasks, but I was also able to gain that real world exposure to UX. Um, Given at the time the company's smaller size, I had assumed the additional role and worked closely with the head of UX because I happened to sit next to him, which that was the luck that I had. And it was really during that experience that I became more involved in shaping the overall information architecture of the StockX app, and contributed to building the overall UI of the system. And then throughout my entire time at Michigan, I concurrently worked for the Michigan Daily so that I could immerse myself in yet another collaborative and dynamic work environment. And as a designer there, I really was able to dive deep into understanding the efforts between various teams and aiming to meet tight deadlines and ensure the publication of the Michigan Daily was well executed. And then I know I'm getting really into the nitty gritty of my experiences here, but upon completing my time at U of M, I decided that I wanted to dive deeper into UX. So I applied and was admitted to the College for Creative Studies user experience design program, where I specialized in interaction design at the College for Creative Studies. And those familiar with CCS, or who aren't familiar with CCS, it's a private college located in the heart of Detroit. Detroit, as many of you know, is the renowned Motor City. So the school itself has a really, really strong focus on transportation design. So I was really exposed to the world of transportation design, not working on the ad side of it, but really working on the actual design of the vehicle. So we in the master's program there, you're able to collaborate with the exterior designers, the interior designers, and myself as the interaction design, understanding how to build an in-vehicle digital cockpit. And then I have some fun pictures here of like my hobbies, things that I like. I like to scuba dive. I'm super Italian. I cook all the time. I love making pasta. I'm always stimulating my creativity through the graphic designer in me, and I love sneakers. Uh, this slide gives an overview of everything that I just went through, from U of M to how I've ended up here at Stellantis. And I can share this image with you guys afterwards so that, you can follow the trajectory as well. Okay, so Stellantis, you may not recognize the name, but I'm sure you recognize our brands. Our name means to brighten the stars. And if you've driven on 75, you may recognize our North American headquarters. You can see it clearly from the road. We now have over 14 vehicle brands. There are more than 30 countries that are in more than 30 countries on the globe that have our vehicles on the road, which is super cool. And our unwavering belief at our company is in sustainability, which drives us to pioneer new energy solutions that will shape the automotive landscape for generations to come. At Stellantis, we are transforming into a sustainable mobility tech company, guided by our Dare Forward 2030 plan, with our goal to achieve carbon net zero by the year 2038. So here are some of our brands. We have the rugged utilitarian brands like Jeep and Ram and Dodge, but then we also have those luxury brands like Maserati. We have distinctive, elegant cars like Alfa Romeo, and stylish cars like Peugeot and Opel. Here's like a snapshot of the in-vehicle digital cockpit for some of those brands. And in our in-vehicle digital cockpit, an important part of the experience, it brings all of this together. I'm sure that you've interacted with one of these or seen them in a vehicle. Our goal in creating it is that we don't just manufacture cars, we're crafting experiences and redefine what it means to drive and to be the passenger in a vehicle. So what do I mean when I say the digital cockpit? So the digital cockpit really integrates advanced technology into modern car dashboards to offer intuitive access to a wealth of information. And these are the screens that my team works on. So from the rear seat entertainment to the cluster, the head unit, that's the main screen in the middle of the cockpit, the heads-up display, which is in front of the cluster display, the passenger display, and then the rear comfort display. So our personalized immersive experience gives a different experience for every passenger in the vehicle. So let me give you an example here, just looking at all of these screens. So say you're the passenger, you're sitting in the car. We want to deliver the right information at the right time. So we're not only allowing the passenger to be productive, but we are also, allowing the driver to complete actions that they're unable to do because they're driving 70 miles an hour on the expressway. So say you're the passenger, that you want to stop for Starbucks on your long drive. But the driver can't do it. So you put the directions in on the passenger display and you send them to the head unit. And then you don't have to worry about driver distraction. You just click go and you could carry on your way to Starbucks on your route. We also bring the living room to the back seat in our vehicle through the rear seat entertainment and rear comfort. Our team is led by Ralph Gilles, who is very well known in the automotive industry. There is a Netflix special about him that you can check out on the Abstract series. It gives an overview of not only the UX team at Stellantis, but the other studios, like the interior and exterior studios and the color and trim studios, and how all of us are working together. So feel free to check that out. The series is called the Abstract series. So the UX team is global. We have over 100 members worldwide, spanning with diverse skill sets that range from 3D graphics to psychology backgrounds. Our team really, because of all these unique backgrounds, it's able to foster collaboration and innovation. And also look at all these time zones we're working across, which makes it a challenge but fun. I'm constantly talking to teammates in Italy or France, and they're 6 hours ahead, and coordinating times to schedule meetings can sometimes be fun. So these are just some teams pictures of us working in the studio. We work actually right across the hall from the color and trim studio. So it's a good place to be collaborative and be creative. It honestly feels like you're still in school. You still get the flexibility to be creative and collaborate with other teams. So this is the three different teams that are on my specific team that make up the UX team at Stellantis. I specifically am on the core team. On board there, I'm on the onboard team. There is an offboard team. I specifically focus on those screens that I previously showed you. What we do is define the UI, so the structure and the framework of our infotainment system for all 14 brands. Our brand team is defining that UI for each specific brand. So how do you personally, make the experience unique to Maserati or to Jeep? And then our advanced team is conceptualizing, concepts for the future. So think, no steering wheel, no dashboard, really future forward thinking like that. So automotive UX. So, what is it and why is this the path that I have specifically chosen to take? In my experiences with user experience design, I really did and do enjoy designing for web and mobile. But I have in my time at Stellantis, I have discovered that there are hurdles we navigate in the world of automotive UX. And they are really what make this field so exciting and so engaging for me. Automotive UX stands out due to its constrained environment. You're designing for life critical nature. So it's not blue sky design essentially. We also have to factor safety regulations. There are different standards per country. So when you build the UI, you really have to consider that per country, especially for different brands. And then we also need to harmonize technology with physical controls. Think about in vehicles, you can turn on your HVAC with the touch modality or a hard control. So we have to harmonize those two scenarios. And then our vehicles also have super, super, super long product life cycles. So something that goes out on the road today could still be out in the road in 50 years. All these factors really, really, really make it fascinating for me, challenging, and it's very crucial it's a very crucial field in the world of design. So our journey begins by delving deep into the minds and hearts of our users. So who are they? What do they do? What makes them tick? Their pain points. So ideation is really where our brainstorming party begins here. We are constantly testing our ideas, our concepts, to validate them for the UI. So picture this, we have real users trying out our designs, providing feedback and helping us refine our work. And the journey of our product doesn't end when we launch the vehicle. We're really in it for the long haul. We're constantly monitoring the product, maintaining it, and updating our products to keep them fresh and relevant. We use personas. So think of these as like the main characters in our story. They really help us understand the different users. We use journey maps. It helps us to see the big picture, like map out uncharted territory. And then with these tools, we become like, these storytelling wizards that are solving problems and creating experiences with the end user in mind. And then our research and testing team hands these over to my team, the design team. And we begin conceptualizing. So I know there's a famous quote that says, you can't take the pencil away from the designer. This is true. We really believe that it all starts on paper. And UI sketching is essential first step in designing intuitive digital experiences. It fosters creativity, aids in quick idea exploration, and promotes effective communication within teams, which leads to super user centric design solutions. So, and then, so I'd like to talk for a second about the benefits of being an intern on the Stellantis UX design team. I was an intern about 3.5 years ago now. And before I was full time, I had this great experience, which ultimately led me to where I am today. And as an intern, you will get someone who mentors you on a day-to-day basis. You get to talk to them daily, learn about their experiences, grow from them, see the work that is going on, and interact with a plethora of creatives, not just from UX, but throughout all the studios at Stellantis. It familiarized me with how the teams are collaborating and what my day to day would really be like. So what you're seeing here is a hero shot of the final UI that I created for my internship project. I worked with an interior designer, color and trim designer, exterior designer, and a visualization designer to create one unified vehicle. My role in it was the UI, the in-vehicle digital cockpit. And this included a high fidelity prototype and a complete user story. So I have like a little video of that. Were you guys able to hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Um, get to my next slide here. Let's see. Looks like it just wants to keep playing the video, but good thing that was my last slide anyways. So thank you for having me here today. I'm thrilled that you guys get the opportunity to talk to industry professionals. Never take that for granted. Always utilize your resources. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to help. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. We have not finalized our internship opportunities for this summer yet. But definitely check out the opportunities that exist within our studio on the Stellantis website. And if you have any questions, let me know.
So if you want to stop your screen share, we can, and so Stella, thank you. Um,
Yes,
so yeah,
I'm a let me see if I remember how to do this on Zoom. The stop. um, Pause share. It doesn't say stop. I'll just do pause. Stop share. There we
There
go.
you go. So I don't know if you can see Stella's question in the chat.
Let me see. Okay. So I'll answer part one first. That's a great question. So do you think it will be you said um, since UX market has become more and more saturated in recent years, especially in B2B, do you think it will be relatively less competitive for a UX designer working in car companies? Um, there like yes and no. I know it has been definitely more competitive in the big tech companies. UX has been, but the good news about automotive UX is it's very niche. It is a very niche field that not a lot of people I think are aware of, especially even the proximity that U of M has to the OEMs. I even at my time there, I grew up in the Metro Detroit area, so I had a lot of family members that were working in automotive. But at U of M, I always heard about the tech companies, and everything was about working at the big tech companies, which those are very competitive. They are. But when you think about the UX for automotive, think about the products that are on the road today and the different capabilities that they have. Think about Apple CarPlay, think about Android Auto. The actual car companies that are on the road today are working directly with big tech companies like Apple and Google. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. I get so into the terminology sometimes I forget that I do think you can get the experience of working with tech companies at the original equipment manufacturers like Stellantis. I don't want to say it's less competitive because I'll be honest, when I graduated from my UX master's at CCS, it felt like everyone wanted to work at the automotive companies. So I felt the competition when I was applying. But I think that you have with your stamps education, the foundation of that is something that you always should tie back into. Always show the process that you took in a final outcome. I can't stress that enough. Don't just show beautiful hero screens, don't just show a beautiful video. It's always about the sketching and what the thought process was that led you to that final outcome. We all can make great renders. We all can, we're in art. We went to art school for a reason, right? Make sure you show that process because that was what will differentiate you when applying to those companies and hopefully make it less competitive for you. Let me answer the second question. Sam student, how do you give full play into our visual strengths on UX design? And honestly, to answer that question, I have a lot of experiences because when I was at Stamps, I focused in graphic design. So while I was able to, show my UX thought process, I always somehow demonstrated it in a very graphic designer way. I always branded my outcomes. And this is something that throughout my master's and my internships that I learned was more and more important. Always brand yourself. Every project you put out into the world and every portfolio, brand it. Don't have and brand it to you, brand it to, I'm Christine Montalbano. This is my color palette of my portfolio, my color palette of my resume, my color palette of the project. I gave a final presentation to my thesis project of my master's literally wearing a red like full jumpsuit that matched the wires that I used. I programmed hardware to software, so I was using a lot of microcontrollers and wiring, and I had red wiring, so I matched my outfit to brand myself to my project. Always make that connection. I think that will play, that visual strength will play on how you will get a UX job. Consider yourself a brand.
I love that. So I have a couple of things that I want to make sure we touch on while we have you. Not everybody knows the term blue sky design.
Yes.
So you made a distinction,
Mm-hmm.
and you also talked about the nicheness of transportation design.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but tell everybody, what does blue sky design actually mean?
Yeah, so it is a term definitely often used in the creative and design field to refer to a process of unrestricted, imaginative brainstorming and conceptualization. It basically involves generating ideas without constraints or limitations, allowing room for that innovation and creativity to flourish. And in blue sky design, you have the opportunity, designers really have the opportunity to explore possibilities that push boundaries without concerns about practicality, feasibility, safety, or other existing constraints. It's the thinking outside of the box that can really lead to those groundbreaking ideas and solutions. And that's one thing I will forever miss about school. I felt like every project I was able to design with the blue sky in mind. But when you start to work, you realize, like in that automotive UX design slide, you have to factor in global constraints, safety constraints, and real world constraints. I mean, even considering the product life cycles. What is the environmental impact of this product that I'm putting out in the world? It's not considered blue sky design.
Yeah, yeah. I thank you so much because I
Yeah.
don't think everybody on this call is necessarily familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that was very succinct.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is actually familiar with the term hero shot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, my background, both in theater and in visual design, I know exactly what a hero shot is. But explain to everybody in case they don't know what you mean when you say the hero shot.
Yeah. So when you say hero shot, it refers to an image or a graphical element that is visually compelling, typically used to showcase the extent to which a product, concept, or service demonstrates. I believe the term is widely used in marketing and advertising, because think about like an ad. The goal of the ad is to create a visually captivating and compelling focal point that draws the user's attention and communicates the main message or value proposition, right? And I use word like, this is where my business mindset comes into play, because I use words like value proposition. And hero shots are commonly they're commonly used on like the front page of a website or product packaging or product promotional materials, and they are really really carefully selected and crafted to highlight key features, key elements, key benefits, key attributes. What else? They evoke emotional interest, desire, that really engages the audience to want to purchase a product or engage more in a product. So in e-commerce, for example, when I was at StockX, that was my e-commerce experience. These hero shots included, a high quality photograph of the product, like a Jordan, a really, really unique Jordan that went out in the world. And it was on the front page, an interactive website banner that users could interact with, understand exactly what they wanted to understand about the feature. And in web design, it's often that visually striking like banner, interactive banner placed on the top of a page. But they really do play a crucial role in portraying visual communication effectively by showcasing the subject and enticing the audience further to engage with the content.
Yeah. Thank you so much for making that distinction.
Mm-hmm.
And what certainly when it comes to product design, UI UX design, so much of what you're including in the portfolio is process imagery as
Yeah,
opposed to hero shot.
right,
And it's not that the hero shot in that type of portfolio is bad.
right, right,
It's that that's just one little feature of what you're demonstrating to the recipient.
right.
Here's how I got to the hero shot.
Yeah. Right. Right. And I can guarantee that in interviews for any job, if you're showing a project and you have a beautiful image of it, they're going to ask you how you got there. And you have to be able to, in a very concise and research informed way, explain, especially for UX. They want the data, they want to know the customer journey that led you to your outcome. Because everything in UX, there's a story behind it. There has to be data and tested data and validation and market research to ensure what you're designing does fit into a customer centric product.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yes.
So I want to turn this over. Anybody else? Devyani, yeah, go for it.
Hi, Christina. Hi, John. How are you?
Good.
Um,
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation. That was awesome. It's
Yeah, no
amazing to
worries.
see someone from an automotive industry. Um, so I'm doing a dual degree with BA and BSI,
Okay.
UX track. And right now I'm in a position where and I know a lot of people are in like just getting a portfolio together, right?
Mhm.
So we're not, I love that you knew that the automotive industry was a very like niche thing that you picked out way before, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But I think like personally, I want to dip some toes in different like areas of UX design. So what is your like as a professional now, what do
Mhm.
you want to see in students' portfolio? Like I know you mentioned process and thought, but
Mhm.
like when you put it together, condense it, what are your thoughts about it?
I think off the bat, I'll go back. I'll give some more examples, but off the bat, I will say every project that you have in your portfolio, it's a brand. You are branding yourself to that project. You're owning it as your own. And I think that any project you put out there, have a brand, make it a part of your brand. It's an extension of yourself. I think if I had to say like specific deliverables and highlighting your best work, I would show so UX, as you know, an umbrella term for a lot of other things. Okay. And there's a lot that goes into UX. User experience and user interaction design are two different things. And I want to stress that I'm on the user experience design team, but I specifically focus on the interaction. Um, I would show uh, the wide range of UX skills because on my team I will sometimes wear different hats. Include research. What type of research led you to these outcomes? And although that may sound boring, quote a scholarly article that you found some resounding data from. Like, don't be afraid to include that, but make sure obviously you cite the source, but make sure it's coming from a scholarly source. I will always refer people to Nielsen Norman for UX heuristics and principles. If you don't know Nielsen Norman research the not only the website but the books that are out. A lot of the foundation of UX design has been established through Nielsen Norman. Also include wireframes. Wireframes can range from low, medium to high fidelity. And I wish in this presentation I had some of my personal work to show you how I did this, but um, I can give a great example. My thesis work, I programmed hardware to software. And in doing this, I built 4 different prototypes. The first one was a microcontroller um, programmed to one sensor. The second prototype was another microcontroller programming 6 sensors. The third prototype, I integrated the sensors into a wearable with a microcontroller. And then the fourth prototype was as close as possible to the final outcome. I used, instead of wiring, conductive thread. So it looked like the final outcome. And I did a wireless microcontroller. So the fidelity of the prototype just kept increasing, and I was able to document that process and put it into my portfolio so they could see where I started, understand where my thought process went, how the prototyping developed. And then I also would show user testing. So in any UX, UI, the concept itself needs to be tested. Test a sketch, test a low fidelity wireframe, test a high fidelity wireframe. Keep on testing at every phase of the design process. Don't wait till the end to test, and show that in the portfolio. Take pictures of people testing. Ask your friends, ask your teachers, whoever's around you. Just ask. I always would ask my family or whoever I could just get data from to test it, and then take pictures. Put that in your portfolio. Um, Focus on quality over quantity.
Mhm.
Feel free to interrupt me, but because I can talk, but always tell a story. UX is all about storytelling. Um, why did you decide to put a button here? What benefit does it? In my eyes, I'm like, what benefit does this have for the driver? How is this driver centric? Um, Always explain the problem you're trying to solve in your design process. Have a how might we statement. Use case studies to walk through your thought process and decision making. Um, Include the results and the impact. So, in any portfolio piece that I've ever had, I always finish the presentation that I'm giving to an interviewer with, this is what I would improve on, because in UX you're never done. You always can do more.
Mhm.
I always would include like my next steps are based on this data. I would like to add, a button here or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously keep it visually engaging and tailor your portfolio to the specific job or client that you're applying to. So I've literally turned off pages in my portfolio depending on who I'm talking to, because I want to cater it to that job. Like if I was applying to a brand design job, it's like, you know, focus on where I've showcased my best brand work and hide the, my I don't know if I've taken like the really nitty gritty research stuff, because brand design, they want to see the hero shots essentially. And then always update it, take um, update it with your new projects, your new experiences, and remove outdated or less relevant projects to keep your portfolio focused and impactful. I'm sure you
So
get a different answer on that all the
yeah.
time, but
I I know for a fact that Devyani actually has to physically be someplace else at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Um,
okay.
Okay.
I know that for a fact. I
Okay.
don't know about anybody else on this call, but this is a really great opportunity for a twofold question.
Mhm.
The first one is if Devyani or anybody else on this call would like your feedback
Mhm.
on a portfolio that they're putting together or on a resume that they're putting together. Um, Number one, are you open to that? And number two, what is the best way to be in touch with you?
Yes, I'm always open to it. I love working with students. When I was in school, a lot of individuals helped me. So I'm always open to helping and giving my feedback. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I usually respond there a lot. I also have a design Instagram account that I post a lot of my work to. It's just my first and last name dot work. I can't really post any of my work at Stellantis there until it's on the road. But like I said, I am always working on personal projects as well. So there's a glimpse of some of that stuff there. So feel free to reach out to me there or on LinkedIn.
So very good. All right. So Devyani, you,
Yes.
I, I I love you madly, but feel free to go when you got to go. Um,
Okay. But thank you so much, Christine, for
Yeah.
the answer. It was beautiful.
Yes,
Thank
of
you,
course.
John.
yeah.
Yes. Nice
Um,
to.
uh, does anybody else have questions for Christine, while we still have her? Somebody could be typing away in the
Sorry, maybe I missed it, but can you put like your email in the chat maybe so like we could have it or
Yes, I
is
yes, I can give you my my Instagram handle.
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, thank
Drop it
you.
in the chat. Yeah.
I also post a lot on LinkedIn of like what I'm up to. So feel free
I
to
follow her on LinkedIn, by the way, so she does.
I do. We're always doing something or I do a lot with student outreach too. So I feel like I'm always on like campus visits and stuff like that. So I'll let you guys know if I'm ever in Ann Arbor, I can stop by and say hi.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Christine, I, thank you so much, number one, for being with us today.
Mhm.
Number two, thank you for continuing to include me in your journey. Because, you know, from the first day I met you, it was absolutely delightful, continues to be delightful. And obviously, if there's anything that you want to be involved with, please feel free to reach out. Um, and, if nobody else has any other questions today, I'm going to let you go. Hopefully, nobody has to go out into the snow. If you do, please be careful. And then at very end, any last words that you feel like sharing, Christine?
The feelings mutual. You've played a pivotal role in my transition, not only to stamps but my time at stamps. So I'm always, always, always delighted to see you and continue working together.
Yeah. All right. Everyone, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna do the stop record button now.